Hello, my dear. Today is the 2nd of October. As Nancy Pelosi says, glory to Wuhan. As always, summary of news from the Ukrainian front. Let's discuss what is currently happening there. The most recent, the most significant events. Today, the entire matter will be solely focused on the map. Let's talk about where the Ukrainian army is located and what the overall situation is on the fronts. Of course, let's discuss the Zaporizhia front, the South Donetsk direction, and touch a little on Klashivka. Well, let's begin with the map. Here is the Zaporizhia front. From this point onwards, let's talk about what is occurring at the workplace in Prokopovka and Verbovo, Zaporizhia. The Ukrainian offensive here has completely stopped. The armed forces of Ukraine were unable to break through the defense. Moreover, the overall tension in this sector is subsiding. A few weeks ago, Ukraine's armed forces said the offensive is ongoing, we are trying, we will act there, we still have forces. But at the moment you can say that there is no strength left. Everything begins to calm down completely. Russian MOD reports on Zaporizhia. Russian military with air support repelled 2 attacks by Ukrainian 65th and 117th Mechanized Brigades in Rabotin and Verbov. MOD states Russian forces successfully defended against assaults in Zaporizhia region on the Zaporizhia direction. Here geosynthetic material also appeared. The first is rotation of the so-called, in this section of the front, rotation of Ukrainian servicemen and equipment under fire from the armed forces of the Russian Federation west of Verbovo. By the way, here's a video of this so-called rotation. Let's see. The rotation of Ukrainian forces here is 2 soldiers on a motorcycle with a cart arriving at the front, immediately jumping into a trench at the front positions. And following that, this scooter with a stroller is swiftly and completely destroyed by a Russian unmanned aerial vehicle. Here is such a rotation. This is what it has come to. This Ukrainian reinforcement apparently arrived at the front. Next, combat actions on the Novo-Prokopovka line, recruiting the Ukrainian armed forces attack on the Russian armed forces position, a small infantry group, contacts, gunfire, artillery shelling of the assault group of artillery in the Russian Federation. There are wounded, and the withdrawal of attacking forces in the USSR here in this area, right here, attack. And accordingly, there is a battle in this forest strip. The battle is very close, and accordingly, the artillery of the armed forces of the Russian Federation is involved, and accordingly, afterward, Ukrainians search for their wounded and try to evacuate them. This is how it all ends for them in their mission. So maybe in 20 years they will reach Melitopol. Well, if they go, of course, with the same, so to speak, with the same breakthroughs, as they call them, breakthroughs of the front line, as it is called in Ukrainian social networks, they broke through the first, second, third line of defense there. There are orcs, as they call them, and we are moving forward, just breaking through one line of defense after another. In reality, well, a tiny blemish on the map, and that is all there is to it, and this can be succinctly summarized. That's all, nothing else is happening there now. The offensive has practically subsided. So yes, there are some actions. Someone comes on a motorcycle to the front. Someone there tries to dispute some square meters in the forest strip in a quantity of 5 people. That's it. That's what this attack led to. Now it's just positional local battles of local value without using technique. As all enemy equipment of the Russian Federation was destroyed, there is no equipment. Before moving to the South Donetsk direction, please subscribe to the official Telegram channel with 610k subscribers and check for clone channels. Spreads false info on my behalf. Subscribers count is crucial. Look, it is 610,000. And subscribe to Rutube. There are video reviews without posts, without everything. Accordingly there, if you are watching on Rutube, click on the rocket so that the video comes out on top. They emerge as winners each day. Guys, you all look very attractive. Thank you so much. Well, let us proceed. Southern Donetsk direction. In principle, the situation is very similar here without changing the front line. Close combat geolocation is here. In this particular area, soldiers are actually sitting in trenches along these forest belts and simply trying to throw grenades at each other and accordingly hit each other. Literally, they are sitting against each other, look at each other, and engage in direct combat. Video, this is where everything happens and they try to kill each other in principle. That's it. That's what this offensive has come down to in a nutshell. These are super close combat in the trenches where soldiers without equipment are trying to do something against each other, throw grenades at each other, somehow hit, shoot, and so on. But such an attack, in fact, again here choked and stopped. You understand? Complete fiasco, the front line straightened out, and the target on this section of the front, at least, let's move away, was Mariupol, right? So here the Ukrainian army was breaking through in this format here. Here they don't even have any Pimpoki here if they sum up, well, probably 50, 40 years if they continue to move like this. They will need to reach Mariupol. And even if there is no counterattack by the forces of the Russian Federation or strikes on the flank in general, if you move away on the map, the goal in this section of the front is also not achieved. And now, in conclusion, Klashchivka is also the same situation here. I've told you many times about the track length. What do constant counterattacks have to do with it? The armed forces of the North Russian Federation have counter battles, counterattacks, and an advantageous defensive line along the railway track. Now the Russian army is defending, and it has become known that the Ukrainian Su-25 was shot down by air defense means near Klashchivka. No messages for a while, but today they appeared. Front line remains unchanged. Overall, no change in the front line. There are a lot of reports about how either Russian drones or Russian artillery are targeting parts of the armed forces of Ukraine that are trying to hide in forest belts, in random bunkers, and so on. But there is still no progress. And on this front, everything actually stopped, and the intensity of the fighting begins to decline. That is, the overall offensive of the Ukrainian army, summer or even autumn offensive, has come to nothing. But Ukraine has a response, guys. There is a response now. I will tell you now, you think to sit down at the negotiating table? No, because the Ukrainians are starting to run out. Well, they are just running out of troops. Soldiers age limit to 65, leadership to 70. Soon, 80-year-olds will join battles. The bill that corresponds to it is already on its way. Here it is on the screen. Additionally, there is another comeback. The law on military registration for women subject to military duty has come into force in Ukraine. Obligation, Ukrainian women aged 18 to 60. In the majority of situations, military conscripts are provided with doctors, dentists, midwives, nurses, and pharmacists for medical care. That is, any women who are involved in the medical field, they simply bam, bam, and then you are immediately sent to the army to work as a nurse without any further training or preparation. Well, that's it. Here's what's already happening in Ukraine. So there used to be until the last Ukrainian, now it will be practically until the last Ukrainian. And simultaneously, this is not everything. Not all news is very negative for the audience in Ukraine. There is more to the story. At the same time, assistance from the top assistant of the United States suddenly stopped completely. The US House of Representatives has approved a 45-day government funding project. You know, we're running out of money here. Accordingly, they accepted the new project of financing by the US government for 45 days in order to prevent government institutions from closing. So listen, there is absolutely zero assistance for Ukraine in this particular document. That is, within the upcoming 45 days, 1.5 months, there will be no sending of a dollar to Ukraine, not even a single one. Nothing will happen during this period. Here is what is actually written in this document. Do you understand? Because there is no money. There is simply no money. The government has already exhausted its funds. Not far off in principle. There is a complete budget fiasco. A complete collapse of the American dollar is highly probable. At any moment, they will simply say, well, that's it. We have a default here. We can't pay the bills anymore. However, this is not the main thing. This is already their default, so to speak, somewhere on the horizon already, probably for approximately 20 years. But the most important thing is that Ukraine needs help. All as they say, well, you there don't get sick. Take care, so to speak. Yes. Everyone, we are here for you, but we won't give you any money. Here's the situation. Even Elon Musk supports the total exclusion of aid to Ukraine from the budget of the United States. So it is temporary. They may very well adopt another budget in 45 days, and some assistance may theoretically be restored. Prominent figures like Elon Musk speaking out against. That's right. I think in the USA we have our own huge problems, starting with a huge budget deficit. Prior to the default and prior to the conclusion, there are millions of homeless individuals whom I demonstrate to you daily on my Telegram channel. If you are subscribed, you will see these terrible video materials from the USA because the country is actually bankrupt. Default, the question is not whether or not, the question is simply when it will happen. That's it. That's all for me. Thank you for your attention. Subscribe to official networks. This is Telegram and Rutube. Thank you. Goodbye.